Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, the host of the Whole Athlete Podcast, where I am bringing you a new guest that you may have heard in the past on other podcasts, as Sean Croxton's old Underground Wellness show, D.R.E.S.S. I started listening to Sean Croxton's podcast about 2011 after he spoke to my Todd Durkin Mastermind group, and I discovered podcasts. So D.R.E.S.S. was on his show frequently talking about Functional Diagnostic Nutrition practitioner work, FDN. And I finished nutritional therapy practitioner school almost 2 years ago. And my next program, certification I'm starting, is in May to become an FDN practitioner. So D.R.E.S.S. is the founder of FDN. And you may want to know, what is FDN? What does a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner even do? So we're going to find out today what that is all about. And what I always like to ask our guests on the show is, what is your passion? What is your purpose? And what is your mission? Really finding out what's driving you. What is your why? What's your mission in your life? And how are you going to create an impact? So hopefully you know what you are doing in life to keep going every day and enjoy that journey you are on. If not, maybe stop and take some time every year, at least once, to just do a little self-retreat and kind of go within yourself, which I do on my bike rides often. Find out, what do I want to do? Am I happy with what I'm doing now? What do I see myself doing in 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years? When do I want to retire? What do I want my legacy to be? And that's kind of what I've done over the years since my whole adrenal exhaustion, HP axis dysregulation in 2013. I've really had to change my life and become more aware of my stressors, my red flags, when I'm doing too much in life, as well as looking at what I call all the time the holistic method and transforming the whole individual, including practicing what I preach to myself, to really be healthy, to optimize your health, work on longevity and performance in daily life. So what we are going to talk about today is, what does chronic stress do to us and why do we need to pay attention to it? And if you've listened to the podcast since I started this in 2012 with Fit, Fat, Fast podcast and Shut the Front Door, and now I just bring it all together calling it the Whole Athlete Podcast, is about our addicted to busyness and how, if you're a competitive athlete, we're often that type A personality that we're always doing more. More is better. And we don't know when to slow down, when to take a rest day, when to take a vacation instead of doing that race, or if you're injured, when to just let your body heal and recover. So let's go into D.R.E.S.S' bio. He is a certified holistic health practitioner, certified nutritional therapist, a fitness trainer, and an environmental paralegal. He's all of that. He is an expert in functional lab testing and holistic lifestyle medicine, as well as the founder of the Functional Diagnostic Nutrition certification course. D.R.E.S.S. served as a health director and case manager at the Better Health and Wellness Center in Poway, California, for over 10 years, where he developed the FDN and D.R.E.S.S for health success programs. He now teaches FDN course, having over 2,500 trainees or graduates in 50 countries, and recently established Association of FDN Professionals, an alumni and advocacy group. D.R.E.S.S is a favorite clinical advisor to Biohealth Laboratories, where he helps practitioners interpret lab test results and develops natural protocols to restore function rather than treating symptoms. He is known as one of the most successful and experienced clinicians in the world today, having provided functional lab assessments to over 10,000 clients for hormonal and bone density problems, adrenal and thyroid dysfunction, and digestion, detoxification, and immune system issues. He is also an expert in pathogen screening and food sensitivity testing and many related health problems, which I think we all have a little bit of. Reed lives in Southern California teaching the FDN certification course and helps his graduate build a robust private practice. So I'm excited to have him on the show today. Also, if you read my book, Life is Not a Race, you may remember a chapter on the party bus that I had in my mastermind group. We did a little wine tour, and I decided to let loose a little bit and not be so uptight and training so much for Ironman that was coming up. And I got severely sick for a week and happened to have a meeting with Sean Croxton the next day after this party bus event, and had little alcohol poisoning because my liver wasn't functioning well. I found out quickly after that. And Reed Davis was at Sean Croxton's then recording studio and talking about FDN. So it was kind of funny and ironic that the day of my beginning of my new journey I started after that party bus incident and being hungover for a week and throwing up everywhere, that I am now full circle coming to be FDN this year. So let's bring on Reed and talk about his story, passion, and purpose, and what is D.R.E.S.S for Success program. Enjoy, and let me know if you have questions. I'd love to know if you're actually listening and enjoying the podcast, so feel free to email me, or you can go to the Facebook page, The Whole Athlete Podcast, where I try to put everything there, as well as Instagram. The Holistic Athlete is my Instagram page. So you can also go to debbiepotts.net to add any comments, send me an email that way, or if you'd like a consultation for the holistic method coaching that I do for groups and individuals. All right, let's get Reed on the show, and I will stop talking. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, Reed.
Well, I couldn't be more pleased to be here. So thank you very much, Debbie, for having me on. Hope to be able to share something of value to our audience.
Well, I just shared your bio, and you have a very extensive background. And over the years, you created the Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Practitioner program. And just want to start by asking what I love to ask everybody is, what is your passion, purpose, and mission?
Well, thanks for asking. The current one started about 20 years ago this month, I think, in 1999. I started working in a wellness center. Now, I had come off of a nice tour, I'll call it, as in the environmental law business, recycling, saving the planet, lobbying in California here, Sacramento, for the environment. And so I was saving the birds, bees, planet, trees, air, water, and what have you. And 20 years ago, I turned my attention to what is it doing to people. And it's really rough, And then I started discovering all kinds of other things about stress. There's many more kinds of stress than just the environment and the air and the water and chemicals and things like that. And it really has a bad effect on people, obviously. So I started working in the wellness center as a nutritionist. The chiropractor there took me through her diplomat program. I went with her every weekend, and she allowed me to come back and practice on her patients during the week until I got my certificate in nutritional therapy. And I went on to become a personal trainer and lots of other training, of course. But I worked there 10 years. And what I found was that just treating symptoms and it just doesn't work. People are all stressed out for all kinds of reasons. And if you just sell them some supplements, they're not going to get better.
Yeah.
And so it took me 10 years and what I ended up doing was running lab work, which is what I'm known best for. I'm an expert in functional lab work. I ran thousands of labs on thousands of people. And not only was I mentored by some real great pioneers in alternative medicine, but I made my own observations. When you do that much work, you're going to recognize some patterns. I started realizing what are the main areas to look into functionally, like what are the main functions. And I'll just tell you, they're hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and autonomic balance. Yeah. So if you can straighten those things out, you're going to do a world of good. Mm-hmm. However, how you do that without prescribing medication or doing something that you really need a license for. So as a health coach, we didn't call them that back then, but I found out that it requires a complete holistic program of diet and rest and exercise and stress reduction in every way that it could be figured out, stress, and then of course supplementation. I don't have my own line, but I know a lot about them. And so that's my holistic protocol, D.R.E.S.S, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplements. And that is applied according to whatever the test results, the person's complaints, the person's history, things like that. So it's quite a system, actually, of investigation into what's wrong and how to fix it.
Yeah. And that's what I love about your program and my background. I'm a personal trainer for 25 years, and it's kind of the same thing as Sean Croxton was my kind of insight to this. And when I heard about you back in 2010 or 11, I think it was, that I wasn't getting results, just same story he always had. It's like, I can't fix people by just training them. And so about 5 years ago, I created, just from my own observations as well, the holistic method, that it's working on nutrition, exercise, but sleep and stress, movement, mobility, hydration, gut health, happiness. And so I find that is what, if like you did the same thing, you observe our behavior and people trying to get healthier, whatever that means to that person, and really feeling energetic and happy in life. I find it so essential that so many people I observe every day have, in all ages, young kids as well, so much stress, and it's just starting younger and younger. Part of it could be our society and cell phones and electronics, and just always addicted to doing something. So what have you found the best way, kind of your protocol, to help people feel better as we get to the root cause and put the pieces of the puzzle together?
It's very interesting that I don't use the word root cause so much anymore, because there's no one lab that's going to tell you the root cause. And I run 5 labs in every person and still sometimes don't know what the true root cause is. But it doesn't matter. You can get close enough to it to have an effect on it. You can still have an effect on the root cause. Mm-hmm. And so we do run labs. We look at dysfunction. We look at the imbalances in the hormones, in the immune system, digestion, detoxification, and the other areas that I talked about. Energy production is very important. So if you can get some objective data on that, plus their history and their complaints, and what's their main problem, how often it bothers them, how long that's been going on, and what have they tried so far, and how does it ruin their life and make them unhappy? Otherwise, they're not motivated to change it all. If you can find out those things, then you can apply the general principles of health building, which I also determined after 10 years outperforms specific treatments. So what I just said is, if you go to a physician, they might even run a panel of some sort and go, it's your cholesterol, or it's your blood sugar, it's your insulin, it's something, your triglycerides are high. Matter of fact, I personally experienced going to a physician, and they did bunch of blood work on me. I have to admit, I turned 65 last summer, and they give you get Medicare, and you get this new doctor, and they call you up, hey, come on in, get to know you, we're your Medicare. So I humored them a bit, and plus I thought I might learn something, and got a bunch of testing done. And they called me up after a couple of days and said, you're fine, everything looks really good. The doctor recommends, though, that you go on a low-carb diet and exercise. And okay, thanks. Now, 4 days later, they call me back and says, we got the rest of your test results in, and they all look pretty good. Nothing's really out of whack, but doctor recommends a low-fat diet and exercise. So one visit, one set of labs, they recommended 2 different low carb on the first call, low fat on the next call. Now, that's a true story. And I find it kind of interesting that, that it goes that way sometimes based on test results. So your question, I know, was about root cause, but you may never know what it is. So we look for objective markers that doctors aren't looking for. We're not just recommending a low carb diet and exercise. Everyone already knows that. And then, once we do have the data, we can really lay out a holistic protocol.
Well,
And
that's
that
what
goes for athletes.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I think athletes and just anyone trying to improve the aging process, they're trying to find answers. And I know you just said keto is so huge right now. And, people are confused what to eat. I'm getting emails from people like, I don't know what to do. This isn't working. And that's where I find putting this all together with your labs, with nutritional therapy, with your genetics, and combine your information that you're getting from listening to that client and from labs, but finding what is the personalized program for them, that each individual is so unique. And I think we get so listening to all this information out there and hearing someone's huge success story and try to copy the same program and expect the same results. It gets confusing out there.
So true, and that's an interesting thing. It won't be any surprise to our listeners that working as close as you can to the underlying cause is good. And the people who work at the underlying levels, if possible, again, those pillars of health I talked about, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, and so on, they're going to get healthier faster. They're going to shed the weight. They're going to have more energy. They're going to sleep better. They're going to be able to work out harder, peak their performance. That's intuitive. We know that. We're close to the underlying cause. Mm-hmm. But what's not so intuitive that I come across all the time is that people with the exact same set of symptoms, exactly, word for word almost, have completely different underlying causes. It could start in one area with carbohydrate metabolism. It could be, bone and connective tissue turnover. It could be nerve cells, neuronal conductivity. It could be endocrine, completely hormonal. It could have to do with detoxification. It could have to do with the immune system and, eicosanoids and the inflammatory processes and things. So you could have this set of symptoms and be going to a physician or a practitioner saying, I've got this set of symptoms, and they could treat those. You can always take things to feel better, and it might seem like it's related to maybe just the hormones balances up, and the person doesn't get better. Mm-hmm. It's because the root cause is 8 steps back in the sort of cascade. We always say downstream. So when you start going upstream, you start going all upstream to all these different places in people with the same. Now that's not so intuitive as what I said. Just start at the root cause. Well, you just might not be able to find it. But it's okay if you use a holistic and thorough enough lifestyle program like the D.R.E.S.S for Health Success program. By the way, I'd be happy to give your listeners a free copy of my D.R.E.S.S for Health Success guide. If you do that, you're treating nothing specifically. You're treating every cell, every tissue, every organ, every system in the body. You're treating the whole entire organism. So the weak areas are going to start to strengthen, and the person's going to return to health, reasonably assured. If they don't have some real severe downward spiral that would be considered a true medical condition, they're going to get better.
So
by applying those principles.
Well, let's go in. You mentioned the D.R.E.S.S. Go again. What D is for? Let's go into
D is for diet.
Diet.
D is for diet, and not everyone belongs in the same diet. I do believe in ancestral diets or paleo diets or what you might call, genetic diets, but we have different genetic makeup. And when I started 20 years ago, the most popular diet of the time was the Atkins diet, which was meat, lots of bacon and stuff. It worked great for some people. It got them into ketosis. They were able to shed the fat and lose some weight. Other people almost died on it. It was horrible for them because they just don't burn or produce energy at the cellular level the same way. So the right diet is a fuel mixture of protein, fat, and carbs. And which ones? But if you just look at the macros, protein, fat, and carbs, there's a mixture that's right for you. And you'll produce energy on a cellular level at the right rate and quantity and quality and things like that. Then those cells don't need to be taught what to do. So there's a diet that's right for you, and you can determine that. There's ways we have. Now, the R is really sleep, but I just call it rest because it spells dress better that way. And so I had to think of something I could memorize real quick. So, so rest, oh my God, you need rest. Matter of fact, I now enjoy resting. So people want to go do stuff. You know what? I'm going to rest. I just really love my rest. And when you're sleeping deeply in non-REM, sort of this level 3 non-REM sleep, all kinds of things go on in your body physiologically, and it just takes care of itself. You'll detoxify your body, especially the brain. You can only detoxify when you're deep, restful sleep. And it will. Your glial cells actually shrink and more fluid flows through the brain and gets excreted into the lymph system. But look up the word glymphatics sometime, folks, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. That only happens when you're asleep. And so, the hormones and, again, the liver and detox, it's really critical. So diet, it's got to be the right to produce energy at the right level in each cell. And they don't have to be taught what their job is. Rest, very critical. And we all know, of course, exercise. You can't be healthy without the right kind of exercise. Mm-hmm. And I would say that you need to break a sweat often. Often. Break a sweat. If you're not breaking a sweat, you're not hydrated enough, you're not working out hard enough. That's what I'll tell you for now about that. Now, the 2 S's in D.R.E.S.S are stress reduction and supplementation. Mm-hmm. Well, on the supplement side, I know a lot about them, but I don't have my own brand. I know what to recommend for people to support certain functions. You can support the immune system. You can support adrenal function. You can support digestion and things like that. You can also stimulate. You might want to actually boost your immune system. So you can support, you can stimulate. But probably as important as anything else is substituting for what's not in food anymore. Mm-hmm. Even if you eat organic food most of the time, you're not getting that much additional nutrition. So, what's not in food because of soil's depletion, you get from supplements, and it's a good thing. Now, the biggest area, there's diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction supplements. So on the stress reduction, there's mental, emotional stress. There's physical trauma and musculoskeletal injury. That's stressful. And then there's the biochemical stress. There's the outside, the environment, which I studied so well. And then, of course, there's our internal environment, which produces its own toxins. It absorbs toxins from the outside, and it produces its own toxins. And you need to have those kind of stressors well handled. On top of that, there's always food sensitivities, which is a huge stressor that can easily be tested for. And last but not least, your bugs, parasites, bacteria, funguses, viruses, and things. And so there's a lot of hidden stressors. And it's a big area for us. In FDN, we know the labs to run, and anyone can run them on themselves. So we have all our clients run the labs, and we straighten out a personalized D.R.E.S.S for health success program based on what's wrong, based on what needs fixing or rebalancing.
How do you know which supplements to take? I know so many people, and I did myself when I first started getting my stress issues 5 years ago, that you go see naturopaths and doctors and whatever, functional medicine people, and you just get labs and they would just give you supplements and not work on the lifestyle part of it. But I find that the more you read and start researching online or listening to podcasts, you end up with, 20, 30 different supplements. So how do you figure out which supplements to give a client based on their labs? Because in nutritional therapy, they'll muscle test or test it on people. But how do you know which ones to give someone? Because there's so many options.
Well, yeah, there's a couple ways to look at that. One is your basics that you need for general nutrition. Everyone needs vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, amino acids, and things. So you can, pretty much try to get them on a healthier diet, but also try to get their digestion to be working really well so they actually break down and absorb those nutrients. And then you can augment with some, again, vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, and these kind of things. Then you start looking at what might be therapeutic, what might be supportive. If this person's really stressed out, things like, adrenal support help. If they're not, pipes don't seem to be working very well, digestive enzymes, even HCl, things like that are very, very helpful. Of course, when you want to enhance detoxification of the body, there's liver support. There's things that would help the other detoxifying organs. They kind of are the liver, the kidneys, the colon, the lymph system. Even your lungs are exhaling, they're excreting toxins, carbon dioxide and things. And then your skin is a big detoxifying organ. So you got to take care of all of those things, and supplements can be very supportive. And some of it's tried and true. You're talking centuries, if not millennia, of history behind some of the botanical products that are out there. Mm-hmm. Cavemen were using them why? Because they were. And so now we've got them standardized and things like that. And so when you said, so that's my general answer, but when you talk about, each individual, you would start with their weakest area, and support that. If someone's really toxic, you support the detoxification processes. And you kind of, this is why we say healing is a process.
Yeah.
So the observations we make, we capitalize on when we have time to get the person to do things. Even the D.R.E.S.S program itself, you can't start Monday, D.R.E.S.S, I'm doing it all. You'll fail. So you want to start with your weakest area. Some people already go to the gym, 3-5 times a week. They're doing good on exercise. Okay, great. And they might actually sleep really well. Or maybe sleep is their number one thing. So you don't have to do it all the first day. Mm-hmm. And that's why health coaches are so helpful. They prioritize and they coach and they hold people accountable, we hope.
Yes.
And then people start to make changes until the point that they're self-sufficient. Using the old adage, if you teach a man to fish, you teach him for a lifetime, and women too.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now, with the lab testing, as FDN practitioners, they give what are the common ones? So there's saliva, there's blood, there's urine analysis, gut, stool testing. So which ones do you have, like the big 5 that you have people do? And then do you do genetic testing as well?
Well, genetic testing we might reserve for troubleshooting later on, because genetics are about 8% of your health. The other 92% are epigenetics. It's the expression of genes that really matters. So you want to get a person sort of, you can turn genes on and off, and the ones that would harm you, you want to make sure they're turned off. And if they're turned on, how could you turn them off? But you're going to do that through epigenetics. It's your lifestyle. So you're going to have to run the D.R.E.S.S program no matter what. To run the D.R.E.S.S program properly, you're going to need to look at some objective criteria. So we would use the testing, Jess. Saliva testing of hormones is great. It's the bioidentical levels. It's the bioavailable levels. And you can look at cortisol to DHEA ratio, which tells you whether the client's in a catabolic or anabolic state. Usually they're catabolic. People's bodies are breaking down when they come to us. For the most part, they're cortisol dominant. And so you have hormones. You have cortisol DHEA ratio, as I said. You've got estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. You can measure melatonin. That's a hormone. Has a lot to do with sleep. And so we get a nice picture of balances or imbalances and the amount of sort of stress a person's under and how badly their body's breaking down. And we wouldn't treat the paper. It's not just a matter of, here, take some of this and take some of that. Yeah. It's a matter of where are the stressors, and this just gives us a kind of a baseline. And it kind of tells us what's left in the tank, like how much vital reserve is there really there. And so you'd be amazed how some young people, they look fit, but they're completely kind of burnt out. And other people who conserve their energy a bit are hanging in there pretty well. It's just it has no bearing on age or any of these things hardly.
So
that's more a state of mind.
A big topic now is 2 things, is mitochondrial health and brain health. I just was at Natural Product Expo West show a week ago, and it was crazy, all the hemp extracts and brain health and all these different supplements out there coming around to the market in the future. But it shows that our society is stressed and having brain fog, memory, focus, clarity issues, as well as the fatigue and, anxiety, depression. So what's your take on how we can make, help people instead of just everyone starting taking hemp extracts every day? Seems like we need to get out there. Yeah, go ahead.
I hear everything. I'm in a position where I hear everything because all the people selling that stuff come to me because they think they're going to get rich off my students, and they never do. It's rare that I would introduce something, to my crew if I haven't used it myself. We have our own research and development department, so I don't get into the fads much. But they can be helpful temporarily. Again, there's nothing wrong with taking supplements as long as that's not all you do. So in terms of mitochondrial function, I addressed that earlier. It has to do with energy production. Mm-hmm. So on a cellular level, you need to feed the cell the correct fuel mixture, and a lot of things will straighten themselves out. The right amounts and the right kinds of protein, fats, and complex carbohydrates is how you fuel the cell. So why not start, instead of throwing some little patch job or some little thing in there, why not start with what fuels cells in the first place? Yeah. And then you can see if you need any of those fancy supplements later on. So that's what I think about that. In terms of brain health, we find that inflammation and sensitivities to things and toxins and stuff are really critical. And again, you can eliminate those. You're always going to look in the environment for things that can be having an effect on cells in the body, tissues, organs, and systems. So we eliminate, I call them contributors to metabolic chaos. Mm-hmm. That's actually a trademarked phrase, the contributors to metabolic chaos. That's our wheelhouse. We don't want to diagnose or treat a specific disease. That's practicing medicine. Who cares? What we want to do is figure out what's wrong and fix it. So we just understand we have one diagnosis. There's chaos, and it can be straightened out through holistic protocols. Mm-hmm. And so, you were talking about labs. I mentioned saliva. Yeah. We do 2 urine tests on just about everybody. One measures, it's called a metabolic assessment profile. It measures oxidative stress, how fast a person is kind of rusting, if you will, the over-oxidation, in which case antioxidants, would probably be deficient. It measures indican, which is a measure for how well are you breaking down protein. That's critical. Because it's a sort of a general measurement of are you breaking down food and absorbing it very well. And the third marker on that same one simple urine test, easy to collect at home, just like the saliva, is a urinary bile acids, which measures liver congestion. So if your liver's congested, probably you've got other congestion in your body in terms of the detoxifying organs. And that's a healing opportunity. Mm-hmm. It's not a medical diagnosis. It's a healing. It's like the vacuum cleaner bag is full, and it's time to change it. Your oil filter's full. It's time to change it. So you can't change your liver, but you can certainly do things to improve function. And another test we do is a leaky gut test on, depending on someone's complaints, but just about everybody. You can check the topography, the actual geography of the lining of the gut. You can see if there's paracellular uptake, leaky gut. You can see if the villi are not absorbing food properly. The brush border is probably gone. Your enzyme producing microfibers and things. So you can really identify a lot of healing opportunities. Again, there's no medical diagnosis in that. It's just a matter of what needs fixing. And we run a stool test on most people. Yeah.
Well, I just was going to throw in there that I think people, especially athletes and stress people, usually type A personalities, you need to see data. I want to know what's going on to make sure this is worth getting worked on. I'm going to change my lifestyle habits. So I think having proof of, all right, there's some dysfunction going on in your body. Here's your results. I think people need to see that rather than just, here are my concerns and this is what shows on paper. But getting labs, I think, was more effective to make people change behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely. What I discovered all those years ago was that when I ran these functional tests on people, they would say, wow, that really explains why I feel so crappy, why I've got so tired in the afternoon and I can't sleep and I have no sex drive and, I have diarrhea or constipation or gas bloating, heartburn, indigestion, aches and pains, all these different things we'd see. They're overactive or underactive immune system. And when you're running our labs, you're looking at healing opportunities, but you're also looking at the explanation of why the person feels so poorly. And by the way, a lot of them had been a physician who ran a standard blood panel and said, nothing's wrong with you. It must be in your head.
Yeah.
So that we know that that's not true. And so, yeah, it answers a lot of things. Now, when one of your clients, you're showing them the objective criteria. Yeah, here's what we need to fix so you don't feel so lousy. They were very, very appreciative. And more importantly, they're more compliant. They realize that, hey, you got the goods on them, so they have to, you got to do this,
Yeah.
It's quite motivating.
So I know we're running out of time, but how do people get started? What if they're like, oh my gosh, this is totally what I need. I need help. I'm not getting anywhere on my own. How do they find a practitioner and get some lab tests started to get the process going?
Well, it's very interesting, because I teach a course in this, and it's very, very complete. It's a robust course in all the labs and all the protocols, even a business segment, because we do this for a living. We're professionals. If you go to functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com, I couldn't think of a longer name, functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com. So that's what it is, and you'll learn about it there. And most of our trainees have some kind of college or undergraduate degree in something, like they're personal training, kinesiology or biochemistry or something. But many are lay people. Many come from completely different backgrounds. The only thing prerequisite is that you'll do the work. Like you have to have a desire to be really healthy and to walk the talk. We want you to just take the course, walk the talk, work on yourself, and that alone is worth the price of admission. Now, the fact that you can turn around and make a good living as a health coach, an FDN practitioner, is a super bonus, and most people sign up for that reason. But anyone can. Why would I turn someone away who just wants to be healthy for themselves and their family? Why would I turn them away? The answer is I wouldn't.
Yeah. So I know I'm starting the program in a month, and I find it, you have that passion, right, to help people. And everyone, I know I talk to nutritional therapy practitioner conferences, same thing. We all have our own background of areas of opportunity and our struggles. So it makes you, I think, a better health coach, because people can go, oh, I'm doing triathlons, I'm doing marathons, and I'm feeling tired and fatigued, and I'm gaining weight, not losing weight, and I can't sleep at night. And I think we all have our own stories, and we've overcome that because we're working on this type of program, the D.R.E.S.S, the holistic method, and working on finding those labs and getting someone to help you. Because I know I wrote my book, Life is Not a Race, for this purpose, is to share my story to help other people avoid going through what I did, because I wasn't getting answers anywhere, and I was struggling trying to feel better and get results, and just wasted a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, why do I feel this way? And why am I just 30 pounds overweight suddenly overnight and can't ride my bike? So I think there's a lot of people out there that are struggling and don't really have the answers. So I think finding an FDN practitioner near you, or, do our coaching program. But often, as you said, a lot of people take the program, become a health coach themselves to become FDN just because they want that knowledge. Because I know a client has done that themselves. They're not practicing. They just wanted that knowledge to help their family. So I think it's great. And I think everyone out there is doing a great job sharing that message.
Absolutely. Thanks. I'll just finish by saying, that one real strong desire to be healthy and to share it with your family, to kind of live the lifestyle, to walk the talk, we say. That's got to be number one. Yeah. Number two, if you want to be a health coach, is you have to want to help other people. And that's what drives us all, is, helping people to sort it out, to get off their drugs, to take care of themselves. It's really about teaching them so they can follow the self-care model. And I just thought of something. You asked me what was our mission. It's actually to help as many people as possible get well and stay well naturally, so that they in turn can teach others to do the same thing. And it's been my mission for these 20 years, and it will continue to be.
Yep. And there's a conference in San Diego, November 3rd. Is it this year? I think 3rd, 4th, something like that. First, second, third of November in 2019, we're having the FDN conference in San Diego at the Hard Rock Hotel. You could actually just go to
www.fdnconference.com and get your ticket. We have a limited number, and buy the one that includes dinner, because we're going to have this amazing party and award ceremony too. But it is a chance to learn, love, laugh, and hang out with like-minded people and have a great time in San Diego. It's absolutely beautiful here. And we're at the Hard Rock Hotel, and I don't think you can beat that.
Good. Well, thank you so much. We'll put everything in the show notes. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know and I will ask them. And we'll get this information out there to help people feel better from the inside out. Thanks, Reed.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.